So how does a company that just went public manage to boost its profit by over 500% in a single quarter? It sounds almost unbelievable, but that's exactly what a new player in the healthcare scene just did. So how'd they pull it off? Let's dive in and break it down. All right, so the company at the center of all this is PMCK Berhad, a healthcare provider over in Malaysia. They're a fresh face on the ACE market of Bursa Securities, having just listed back in July 2025. And in just their first few months, they've already made some pretty serious waves. And this is the number that has everyone's head turning. In their latest report, PMK announced their profit before tax just exploded. We're talking a massive 523.84% jump. And get this, that's not year over year. That's compared to the quarter that came right before it. So that's the big question, right? How on earth does a company achieve that so quickly? Is it just some crazy stroke of luck, or is there a real strategy at play here? Well, we're going to dig into their financial report and find out exactly what happened. Okay, so to really get what's going on, we gotta start with the numbers themselves. Let's decode their latest financial report. Okay, so here are the raw figures side by side. First, look at that top row, revenue, which is the total cash coming in. It went from about 21.8 million to 25.4 million ringgit. That's pretty solid growth. But the real bombshell is on that bottom row. Their profit before tax leaped from just 1.25 million to a whopping 7.77 million. That is where that 523% jump comes from. You know, seeing the numbers in a table is one thing, but when you see it as a bar chart like this, wow, it really hits you. Just look at that gap between the two quarters. It's not just a little bump, it's a completely different league of profitability. And it all happened in just 3 months. So we've seen the what, now let's get to the juicy part, the why. And luckily, the company's own report gives us all the clues we need to piece this puzzle together. So it turns out this crazy growth wasn't just one magic bullet. Nope. It was more like a perfect storm of 3 key things all happening at once. First, their core business just did better. Second, some really big one-time expenses from the last quarter just vanished. And third, they got a very nice unexpected windfall. Let's break each of those down. First up, their main business just got stronger. Revenue climbed almost 17%, and the report tells us why. They simply had more inpatients, and their beds were fuller. A big reason for this was their involvement in the Ministry of Health's Hospital Services Outsourcing Program. So, bottom line, more patients, more money. Makes sense. Okay, the second reason is a little more subtle, but it's super important. The quarter they're comparing against, well, it looked a lot worse than it actually was. Why? Because going public costs a ton of money. The report makes it clear that most of those one-off listing fees were paid in the previous quarter. So when those costs disappeared from this quarter's books, the profit jump looked absolutely massive by comparison. And then there's the third piece of the puzzle, a total surprise. The company got a 3 million ringgit payout from a settlement over some undelivered COVID-19 vaccines. This was just a one-time cash injection that went straight to their bottom line. A real lucky break. So that's the anatomy of their incredible quarter. But, you know, a smart company doesn't just rest on its laurels. Now let's see how they're planning to use this success to build for the future. This chart right here tells us pretty much everything we need to know about their priorities. They raised almost 60 million ringgit from their IPO, and just look where the lion's share is going. A massive 83%, that's 50 million ringgit, is going straight into building a brand new hospital, PMCK. I mean, that is a huge bet on expanding their physical footprint. But it's not all just about new buildings. The report also talks a lot about their digital game plan. They're pouring money into upgrading their hospital info systems, creating digital platforms for appointments, and automating a bunch of that tedious admin work. This is all about getting more efficient and making things better for patients. It's the smart, long-term play. Okay, so a great quarter and a solid plan are fantastic, but we all know the future is never a sure thing. So what's coming down the pike for PMCK? What are the speed bumps and what are the open roads? The report actually gives us a really balanced look. On one hand, you've got the challenges. Operating costs are on the rise. Think electricity, new taxes, and that government program that helped fill their beds, that's set to end in December 2025. But then you look at their strengths. The demand for private healthcare isn't going anywhere. Those digital upgrades are already making them more efficient, and they're bringing in more specialists to offer more services, so it's a real mix. So that really begs the question, right? With these challenges on the horizon, how confident is the company really? I mean, it's one thing to say you're positive in a report. Talk is cheap. Is there something more concrete, an action that speaks louder than words? And it turns out, yes, there is. On the very same day they released this report, December 23rd, PMCK's board declared a dividend payment to its shareholders, totaling about 1.31 million ringgit. Now, you might be thinking, okay, a dividend, so what? Well, it's actually a huge deal. A company only pays a dividend when it's sitting on enough cash and, more importantly, when it's confident that the profits are going to keep rolling in. It's a direct financial promise. It's the leadership team putting their money where their mouth is, sending a very clear signal that they believe the success is sustainable. And that is really the crucial point here. That 523% number was a mix of good business and some lucky one-offs. But this dividend payment? That's not luck. That's a deliberate message. It's a statement of belief in their own future. Which leaves us with the big question to ponder. Was this mind-blowing quarter just a perfect, unrepeatable storm? A flash in the pan fueled by one-time gains? Or, with all these big investments they're making, are we witnessing the birth of a brand new heavyweight in the healthcare industry? Only time will tell, but it is going to be fascinating to watch.